My name is Mikkel Warming. I'm the mayor for the Department of Social Affairs in the City of Copenhagen. That means I was deputy mayor in Copenhagen with responsibility for social affairs. The vote last week was actually a replicant of a vote 2 years ago that we had in the City Council, where a large majority in the City Council voted to try to propose, to make a proposal for decriminalization of marijuana in the City of Copenhagen or in Denmark as general.
What we voted on the City Council was to make a request to the Danish government to give us the possibility to do this experiment.
Marijuana is accessible everywhere in the City of Copenhagen and in the country as well. Well over 50% of every youngster has tried marijuana. A decriminalization would be an act to try to separate a softer drug, like marijuana, from the harder drugs. Get the sale under control, meaning that instead of getting it on every street corner with a criminal pusher who also wants to sell you harder, more dangerous drugs, you should get it in perhaps 30 to 40 public selling places. You would have some public employers who would be there, who would sell it. And perhaps if you look like you're using too much, also talk a little bit about what are the dangers of misusing marijuana, because there are dangers if you use marijuana too much. Of course there are.
What we're most keen on is a state sale of cannabis in special shops. Like in Sweden, you have with alcohol, you can only buy in the Systembolaget. We want the same in Copenhagen for cannabis.
What we have seen in the streets of Copenhagen in the last 3 years or something like that is a gang war. A lot of the real fight is about who should control the drug market. The police estimate that the marijuana sale in Copenhagen, in the city of Copenhagen alone, is well between 200 and 300 million euros a year. That's a lot of money. So much money you can fight over it. That's so much money that you can kill over it. And they do. And that's another reason, trying by decriminalization, by controlling the market, to try to prevent the gangs from having this larger source of income. We estimate that around 2/3 of the sale can be taken from the streets, from the criminal pushers, to public controlled selling points.
We want to make a state production and distribution of cannabis. Unlike the Dutch, where you have an illegal production, an illegal import, we want to have a state production, so we won't be buying the stuff from international organized crime. We will be buying it and producing it in Denmark.
We would make it actually less accessible for youngsters, meaning people under 15 or 16 years. It would be less acceptable because you couldn't go down on the corner to buy it. You would have to go shop and they probably wouldn't sell it to you. Of course, you have to look at, can people from abroad go in and buy marijuana? Can people from Malmö, from Sweden do it? Can people from Germany? That's a discussion we'll have to have.
Well, I think there would be some tourism. I'm not as worried about that. It's a way to get the tourist industry going, but we should of course make sure that people don't get into trouble and that it's used responsibly.
Do you have any estimations on the economic benefits?
I think a little under or about every year around 100 million euros in taxations on the city of Copenhagen level alone.
The worldwide policy towards cannabis has failed very, very much.
The international convention, they are a matter of how you interpret them. Netherlands have had coffee shops, they have it, and they are a respected partner in international society. Portugal has decriminalized even harder drugs recently, or actually 10 years ago. And they are also a respected member of the international community. Countries like Switzerland and other countries have been, and now also Denmark, have been giving out heroin as treatment for drug addicts. So the international conventions is a matter of interpretation. The vote last week was to try, now that we have changed government, gone from a right-wing to a center-left government, to try once again to make a concrete proposal and put it forward to our new government.
A lot of parties were positive, my party for once, but there are also the big social democrats, and they are more skeptic over this experiment, and if they won't vote for it, if they won't put out the changes, we can't do it in Copenhagen.
In the very near future, this year or next year, probably not voted yes. But what has been done every time this issue is being raised, and every time we take it up as a city council, is that the borders of the debate move. Instead of this accusation of you will make Copenhagen the drug haven or the marijuana haven of Scandinavia, then perhaps demystify it by also taking some of the international experience. What we can see is, for instance, that the use of marijuana between Dutch youngsters are lower than it is in Denmark, between Danish youngsters. The use of harder drugs in Portugal hasn't increased in the 10 years that it has been decriminalized. In the inhabitants of Copenhagen, there's a very large majority who wants to decriminalize marijuana. The politicians on national level are far behind the public on this matter. We push the boundaries of the debate every time, meaning that in the foreseeable future, we will get there and we do have some kind of decriminalization of marijuana. I'm sure of that.